Well, I'm self-employed. If I work hard and I'm lucky, I can expect to never be promoted. So how then can I benchmark my own performance? As the owner of Barnston Estate, a diversified rural estate in Cheshire, I sought a practical guide that would enable me to enhance the estate further in order to leave it in a better state than that in which I found it. In the absence of mandatory industry report for estates in the UK, there is unsurprisingly no approved benchmarking or performance management tool. Consequently, those few rural estates who do benchmark apply different approaches. And this stimulated me to apply for a Nuffield Farming Scholarship to seek the answers to two burning questions. Firstly, what does success on an estate look like? And secondly, what benchmarking methodologies are used by the very best rural estates? And this formulated my thesis title, Rural Estates Benchmarking Success. Rural estates are unique in providing so much. They are significant providers of the economic oxygen for rural communities. Is it possible to capture the quantitative and qualitative aspects of such diverse interests across estates? Because if you can't measure, you can't manage. The last 20 years has seen a surge in prominence of corporate social responsibility and environmental and social governance, and the triple bottom line, largely a reflection of macro factors arising from population growth, food security, energy requirements, housing needs, and water security, all of which are relevant to rural estates. So before travelling, I knew that any performance measurements would have to take into account not just the bottom line of finances, but also the natural capital and the social capital, together known as the triple bottom line. And it is this mindset of the total contribution of sustainable stewardship that influenced my Nuffield journey. My findings derived from over 140 international meetings and results from an extensive UK-based survey that Savills kindly helped me commission. My travels led me to examine managed land in excess of 1.5 million acres across Germany, USA, Italy, Denmark, Belgium, Netherlands, New Zealand, and the UK, travelling some 35,000 miles in the process. And with Nuffield, there is the adage that doors slam open. And I was fortunate to meet many interesting people: the Secretary of State for DEFRA, the keeper of the records for the Duchy of Cornwall, who oversees 132,000 acres, as well as numerous lecturers, land agents, landowners, policy influencers, and policy makers. On my travels, I learned that there are three types of rural estate: passive, active, and proactive. For context, passive estates operate as an island. There's no governance, no process, often an absence of goals and objectives, a high concentration of risk, and often high debt. At the other end of the spectrum are proactive estates, and the very best embrace the three aspects of successful estate management, and they are mindset, purpose, and benchmarking. Count von der Schulenburg, a German estate owner, epitomizes a mindset that is aspirational, inquisitive, forward-looking, entrepreneurial, collaborative, and strategic. Estate owners like him challenge the status quo, and I learned they have a sense of place and are place shapers. They feel comfortable with risk, but are reward hungry. They're conscious of their brand, and they understand their social license to operate. Secondly, purpose. In New Zealand, the director of purpose at Fonterra explained to me that any organization, regardless of size or sector, needs a purpose. Essentially, to understand their why, their how, and their what. Successful estates know their purpose, and they capture this into a whole estate plan. This essential strategic document articulates what assets you have, what do you want to make happen with these assets, how you're going to do it, and the benefits this will bring. This document harnesses long-term aspirations, and affords clarity for estate owners. It is also intrinsically linked to local and national economies, communities, landscapes, and ecosystems. And thirdly, benchmarking. Benchmarking drives in-depth analysis on performance. It adds perspective, it promotes transparency and industry confidence, and benchmarking delivers rational, evidence-based decision-making for estates to realise their untapped potential. So my first burning question, what do successful estates look like, boils down to having a certain mindset, having a firm purpose, and benchmarking their performance. I will now turn to my second question and share some examples of the different benchmarking methodologies used by some of the very best estates I visited around the world. Firstly, Blenheim Palace, who collaborate with Oxford Brookes Business School to capture their performance on their 10-year goals. This business school helps measure estate performance on a wide number of areas: heritage, nature conservation, employee well-being, the involvement of the local communities, green tourism, education, waste reduction, organic agriculture, and charitable donations. Gross value add is a key metric. And Sophie Gamble in Denmark owns the Morat estate. She benchmarked her performance against the triple bottom and the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals in order to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet theirs. And this philosophy shapes her investment into projects across renewable energy, food, clean water, and sustainable communities. The Twickel estate in the Netherlands have a central objective to turn their 16,000 acres from regular agriculture into a self-sufficient estate by 2030. Their performance is based on a shared vision of key performance indicators between estate and local government. KPIs around their self-sufficiency include being energy neutral, limiting stocking rates of cattle, better management of the landscape, and strengthening local recreational accessibility. And fourthly, the Clinton Devon estate have a 10-year strategic vision document based on doing our part for our part of the world, who want to achieve a sustainable future for the estate, as well as the local environment and their communities. Their performance is captured using the balanced scorecard system shown here. It helps them choose the right things to measure, looking at their organisation from different perspectives to measure their health. So to summarise, success is found where the best estates are proactive. There is purpose, master planning, strategic management, a deliberate use of benchmarking and use of analytics. Secondly, the very best estates integrate performance across the triple bottom line of people, planet, and profit to fulfill their potential. And thirdly, it doesn't matter what benchmarking methodologies are used: KPIs, gross value add, balanced scorecard, or even custom reporting, as long as they use it. And it must be relevant, measurable, timely, and specific. But the industry now feels at a crossroads. If it wants to improve, my recommendations are that the land management industry will require a radical rethink of rural estates. They need to promote the benefits which benchmarking delivers. Secondly, successful land agency firms will offer master planning and benchmarking as a means to retain and attract more aspirational estates as clients. And finally, landowners must be more demanding, both of themselves and of their advisors, on how they are able to fulfill their potential. Since submitting my thesis in March, I've realised completing a Nuffield journey and being awarded the Bledisloe Gold Medal Award for landowners isn't the end of the road, but rather only just the beginning. During lockdown, I've been emulating traits learned from other successful estates, such as we have rebranded the whole Barnston estate. We've completed a natural capital baseline and actively working toward implementing a 20-year environmental strategy. We're focusing on growing our social capital with volunteers. We've established a new business, a 5-acre natural burial ground. We have submitted planning for conversion to a rural holiday let, and we are halfway through 100 kilowatts of additional renewable energy, as well as developing my own benchmarking tool found in the appendix of my thesis to help me make long-term strategic decisions about land management practices and future land use, and all this within the last 6 months. And it is this motivation and increased knowledge which is testament to the undertaking of the Nuffield Farming Scholarship. Which leads me to say a number of thank yous to so many people. Firstly, to Phil and Sarah Hughes, and also Peter Wiggins-Davies, who over 2 years ago encouraged me to apply, and I'm enormously indebted to them. Also to Mike and Poe and their super team in the Nuffield Farming Scholarship Office, who have all contributed to getting me to the right place at the right time. To the wonderful 2019 cohort for all their support and friendship. To my co-sponsors, the Worshipful Company of Farmers and Savills, thank you enormously. You have been instrumental in making all of this possible in the first place. And finally, to my wife and family for their patience, support and love. Thank you all very much.